If you make yourself more than just a man, if you devote yourself to an ideal,
you're not fucking Steven Seagal. You're a hoe!
Mr. Wayne, a legend.
There are new class balance adjustments, equipment tweaks, and the introduction of new gameplay. First and foremost, hybrid attack power. There is some gap between attack power and magic power that leads to a noticeable reduction in hybrid attack power. This update will adjust the calculation method for hybrid attack power. But they didn't say anything about how they calculated these stats. I will update you soon after I get the information from Chinese players. If this update is intended to improve the Dreadknight in an all-around way, then the adjustment of the hybrid attack power is estimated to be able to achieve the effect of equalizing both the attack power and magic power to get a higher hybrid attack. Because the Dreadknight can only carry melee weapons, the attack power is always much higher than the magic power. Next, we have some class adjustments. On Thief, we have grievous wounds which increase the bleeding damage from 3 to 5%. I think this buff is quite insignificant due to the new bleeding mechanism. The rank of the thief-based classes is also classified as this season's bottom tier. Then we have Dark Whispers from Voidfarer. I think the new adjustment could bring massive change to the new classes in terms of survivability. For the Prestige class, we have Dreadknight, which is the main feature of this update. The first one is Blood-Curling Roar, which is not really used by many players. Now they added an absorb damage effect, so maybe we can use this skill somehow. The HP recovery effect is still useless in the late game though. Second, we have the main attack skill enhanced significantly. Now it deals 50% more damage and there is a new effect to increase the damage even more. If we use the maxed level skill chip, the damage will increase from 360% to 600%. Third, we have another moderate boost to temporary buff skill, Dark Covenant. Increasing 50% all damage bonus from the original. If we use the max level chip, the buff will increase from 270% to 360%, which is quite significant. There is also another adjustment for skill activation. The Dark Maelstrom and Bounding Shield skill from Warlich can be constantly cast by holding down the skill button. I'm not sure if this counts as channeling, but if it does, we may use Totem Fate Bound to deal even more damage. Now we will move on to other class adjustments. Let's start with Necromancer. They adjusted the diminishing HP rate from Lazarus Wave, and HP issue from Posse's skill. From the Necromancer's point of view, both of these skills are still useless nonetheless. Next is Dark Ranger. They buffed the damage and skill cooldown of Anthropic Barrage and adjusted the skill damage and piercing mechanism of Knight Piercer. While both of them look really a good adjustment at first glance, most Dark Rangers are actually using Beam skill instead, so the actual result is to be decided after the update. Next we have this skill from Astral Mage. I think this adjustment is insignificant since Astral Mage is only using the Rolling Balls skills. For Assassin, this adjustment also couldn't get them out of the bottom tier class. This skill of Shinobi is actually getting left behind in this season because of survivability issue. Now with this adjustment, we could expect a better gameplay from Shinobi. Storm Shaman is getting a decent buff in this update, enhancing their all damage and both cold and shock damage bonus while increasing the ancestral spirit damage. By the way, Storm Shaman is placed at the middle low tier in this season, so I expect this update could get them into a better place. There are also a few class adjustment which is unremarkable, so I will just put them here and let you see the details. Along with class skill adjustments, warp and cooldown chip skills have also undergone minor adjustments. Considering that most players use mimicry chip, I believe this adjustment could result in a more varied gaming experience. Next, we have an adjustment for 2 new fate bounds, mana buffer and meditation. Since neither of them is really well liked, they simply keep improving it until it gets attractive enough. Next, we have new red weapon for Dreadknight. It has a fate-bound effect of removing cooldown and usage limit of Dark Whisper's skill. The effect is actually insane on paper, since we can just mark everything on our screen with just a swing of Dark Maelstrom. But let's see how the effect really works after it got released. It dropped from Black Arch Knight and has extra dark damage as modifier. Everything looks good, but the major downside is, this weapon came with lifesteal as a fixed fate bound, which is totally useless for late game Dreadknight. Next, we have this cool looking new costume from Gashapon, Nightfall. We also expecting new game mode, Projection Playground. There is not much info yet, but you can read the brief details here. Overall, I'm satisfied with the new update. Right now I already reached first place on Dreadknight seasonal ranking, but I need more buff in order to climb higher since the current DPS of Dreadknight simply not enough to clear the field. And that's it for the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, or else there is another thing beside Dark Knight that rises. And that's my dick.